Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. Was a very eventful football weekend when it came to college and the NFL. Nice to see the Dolphins go and get a victory over the arch rival Patriots. It had me thinking it was nice to see some smoothness. I always am happy when there's some smoothness in my life, in my home or my office, but things can go awry. Like in that football game where the Dolphins were close to having some issues, they found a way to win. If you do find some issues with your home, especially when it comes to leaks, Water Cleanup of Florida are your people. With over 60 years of combined experience between Michael, Robert, and their entire team. Give them a call for immediate assistance, 954-579-0356. The fact that you can reach them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year is huge. Things happen to our home or office, not when we want them to happen, if ever. They happen most of the time at the worst times. Late night, early morning, weekend. No worries. Water Cleanup of Florida is there for you to clean, dry, fix the issue, but also with licensed, insured, certified contractors on staff, they will make it look like brand new. So you go to one place, get the job done. Plus, they service Broward, Dade, Palm Beach County. Give them a call, 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356. Check out the website, WCUFL.com, socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL, and on Google with over 70 5-star reviews. They have you covered from every angle. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. It was a guts-filled weekend around the football world, especially for the Miami Dolphins. Didn't have the best performance on offense. Played pretty well on defense. But Mike McDaniel is victorious in his first game at the helm for the Phns. We talked about it with longtime Phinsider. Now does work with the CBS 4 down here in South Florida and with the Miami Dolphins directly. John Congemi joined us for a Pigskin Playbook Monday, talking lots of Miami Dolphins. Check it out here, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
We welcome in the great John Congemi, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104 in the beautiful Keys City and location of Key Largo. John, how are you? You look good, kid.
Thanks. It was fun yesterday getting to see a Dolphins win and an excited stadium, excited fan base. We had cars burning in the parking lot. Everything was going on at Hard Rock Stadium yesterday. But it was nice to see the Dolphins find a way to get a win over a team they should have beaten.
Well, I was representing the great company JM Lexus and one of the real mensches of all time in the history of life, the great Jim Dunn, who took care of me for a long, long time in terms of sponsorship of various programs. I was driving an IS-250 that I just taken off the lot, and I believe it was a Hurricanes football game, and it was at night, and the car was so quiet that I actually left it running during the entire game because we were on the grass. You know, you park on the grass there if you're in that lot right by the stadium. Who torched these cars, though? I mean, I would imagine something negative could have happened as a result of that, but how the hell did that happen, John? You have any
the story is that someone put their barbecue back into their car after they thought it was, extinguished and everything was going to be fine. And, I guess, 20 minutes later, half an hour later, it looked like, the Pope was, they had a new Pope. There's smoke everywhere. And, we're sitting in the press box, and I'm sitting next to Jeff Darlington and Mike Cunio from Channel 4. And they go, hey.
Two handsome guys, by the way. And you probably stood out. Yeah.
It was a perfect seat for me, right? I just, deflect on either side. And they kind of go, John, do you see that smoke? I'm like, yeah, I see it. And it's getting worse. And it's somewhere in the middle of the first quarter. So supposedly that happened, but, the 4 or 5 cars ended up. The result of somebody's mistake.
Were you worried that your car was in the vicinity? I mean, did you start thinking, well, where exactly is that in the parking lot? And where did I park?
I kind of got my bearings right away going, that's nowhere near where I parked, so I'm good. But somebody's going to be pissed when they get to their car, half in the bag. We won, we killed the Patriots, Bill Belichick stinks, and get to their car and they can't get home. There's just a spot where their car used to rest.
I can't help but reflect back on an event in my life that left an indelible impression when my friend Cliff Keller borrowed his mother's new Chevrolet Impala. And he had just gotten his license. He got his license before my other friends and I did, because he took like some private driving course, and we were in like the regular driver's ed. So he borrows his mother's car, and we go to Roosevelt Raceway for the first time. And another friend of mine, and we were jocks, so we didn't smoke, but another friend of ours was in the back seat, smokes a cigarette. And I guess exactly as you described, there was a smoldering ash or something.
Right.
We hit an exact in the last race that night, and we were euphoric. I mean, we had made like $45 a piece, was a lot of money back then, on our $2 wager that we split. And we get out to the parking lot. We see this, just a stack of smoke going to the sky. And the only car out there was Cliff's mother's Impala, which was torched the first night. The first night that he's driving, he torched his mother's brand new car. And of course, I was blamed for this, even though I had, nothing to do with it, except that was my buddy, and that was a degenerate cigarette smoker,
right,
who happened to be in the back, and he's reading the racing form and paying no attention to where the ashes were going. But no, that's an ugly feeling when you come out to the parking lot and your car is torched. Now Belichick was kind of torched in this game. The Patriots didn't really offer much resistance. What were your impressions? I mean, what was good and what was bad about what happened out there? I mean, as you said, any win, and Brett Tesser just said it, I think it's a cliche that's applicable. Any win in the NFL, it doesn't matter how ugly it is still, it's what you're out to accomplish. And they're not easy to get. So you take them. It was impressive enough to me, except for the fact that I think Tua left a lot of questions open again in that second half, where I think he got away with a few there, Johnny. No?
Well, he got away with a few in the first half as well. But let's talk about how we can break this down, right? So the Dolphins win 20-7, pretty easy win. Okay, the Patriots threatened twice in the ball game. Their first drive that ends up in a pick going the other way. Xavier Howard on Devontae Parker. Holland comes over, he snags the ball out of the air, so it extinguishes the drive early in the game. And then the first drive of the second half, where the Patriots go down, they put the ball in the end zone. It was a 15-play drive, 92 yards, over 8 minutes off the clock. And that was really all they did. They never threatened after that. And I thought the Miami Dolphins had control of the game. I thought the defense had control of the game, and the cheetah was the cheetah. I think this offense is going to go through him, and then you're going to find bits and pieces that are going to be fragmented off on certain games, where Waddle's going to have a big game, Mostert's going to have a big game, Edmonds is going to have a big game, Sherfield might have a big game. Mike Gesicki's not going to have a big game. That's one guy I don't think that's involved in this offense. I don't think he's going to be able – if I'm him, I'm banging on the door saying, if those trade rumors are true, get me out of here, because I don't look like I'm a part of this offense this year. But other than that, I think that's how the offense is going to go. I believe that Tua is going to get better, but the one question mark, you saw a couple offensive linemen go down. The Dolphins only ran for 20 yards, I think, in the first half. And a lot of the checkdowns that Tua was making, I think that's an extension of their run game. When you see the backs just kind of leaking out of the backfield, or little crosser routes or arrow routes that are easy to check down to with a lot of room because Waddle and Hill are moving people off the line of scrimmage, I think that's where Mostert and Edmonds are going to get the bulk of their yardage, and probably Gaskin as the season moves on, he'll be part of that as well. But if they can't run it, watch the Dolphins start to check the football down. They're going to start by throwing the ball, and that's hopefully going to open up the run game. But with multiple linemen getting nicked yesterday, that's the concern you have. Defense was great. They got 10 points off of turnovers. They had multiple sacks. They were +3 in the turnover margin. So that all started the way I think Dolphin fans wanted to see this defense start. But the competition goes up from here. New England was a kind of a fragmented team. They didn't have an identity in the preseason. They still don't have an identity after week 1. Baltimore, a different animal. You know what you're going to get. You're going to have to close the net on Lamar somehow, some way, and do it like they did last season. But I think for, like you said at the top, Defo, a win's a win is a win. And the Dolphins got one in week 1, and now they can build on that.
So watching that game, I was and I've been the Tua defender, but I was tough on Tua, tough on the line, and tough on Mike McDaniel's play calling. And a lot of people had to talk me off the ledge and say, look, it's not only game one, it's game one of an entirely new offensive system, game one of an entirely new head coaching regime. And it's not like every year we had a new offensive coordinator, it's new everything. And that takes into account with the offensive line, with the running game, with Tua. And you have to take that into account. I said, okay, look, they still won by double digits. They took some chances. That felt like McDaniel was just trying to see what he could do with the game that was in hand. But it was frustrating from a fan standpoint. You always talk me off the ledge on both sides. How hard is it to get into a new system, and how long does it take? Because Chris Perkins last week talked with us about the offense will get there, it's just going to take time. And that's sort of what yesterday felt like.
You know, I think when you win a game and you go back and watch the film, as a quarterback, you're waiting to see, wow, I can't wait. I know there's some really good plays in there. I want to see how it looks on film. And you kind of get put in your place when you sit back and go, wow, 2 plays before that, it could have been a pick 6. And when we were able to convert on 4th down and make it 17-0, but because Hill was able to snag the ball out of the air from Jack Jones, the New England defender, all's forgiven. You forget about it, right? And then in the second half, you have 2 3-and-outs by the offense and a couple of footballs that were up for grabs. And you kind of forget about it because, well, it's 20-7. New England never threatened. It's not a big deal. Well, the other side of the coin is it might be a big deal because against a really good team in a 1-score game and you don't make that play, you're either punting the football back to a better offense or that ball's going back as a pick 6. So the two-headed coin, you know, you feel good about some things. The one thing I will say, Lubie, before halftime, that drive where they convert on 4th down, they don't throw the interception. I turned to Jeff Darlington and I said, listen, this is where Tua needs to improve. This is where we usually cough the football up, team gets points, they get momentum going into halftime. That has to change in this offense and this year if they're going to take the next step. Well, they avoided the pothole. Cheetah saves them with, climbing the ladder, ripping the ball away, and then a couple plays later, he throws a strike that beats 3 defenders down the middle, and Waddle goes out the back end, 42 yards and a touchdown. The game's basically over at that point. At least you feel like that if you're a Dolphin fan. 17-0, this team's not going to be able to generate 20 points, and you feel like you're going to get more points in the second half. So the good and the bad the good outweighed the bad, but as a pessimist a little bit, or as a guy that's kind of going, how can I nitpick that there was enough there to itch, the scar a little bit.
Yeah, every now and then, you lob one up there. I'm sure it happened to you while you were playing.
It happens to everybody.
And
it happens to the
You get away with one, you just make a brutal mistake, and somehow the opponent or the other team, if it's an individual sport, they're unable to capitalize, and you get away with a couple of things. And I think Tua did in the second half of that game. Is he eligible to improve, as they say in horse racing? You would have to say yes, but we've been waiting for this quantum leap forward for a while, and I don't know that we saw it in week one. McDaniel, I would imagine you were at the post-game press conferences or saw or heard some of the things that Mike McDaniel had to say. It was kind of like he won the World Series. They gave him the big salutation there in the locker room after the game. He seems still to comport himself very well. And it wasn't like he was going against some fool. It wasn't Rich Kotite on the other sideline. It was Bill Belichick, who, is capable of coming up with stuff when he doesn't have the goods. So, I thought it was impressive debut for Mike McDaniel.
I thought it was too, and I didn't see it, but I heard that Belichick gave him kind of the wet fish, the look away handshake after, which was typical.
Here's your money, Mo. It's like when I pay my bookie, I give him the money in the same fashion with a dead fish.
Yeah, so that was expected. But to McDaniel, I thought he coached a pretty good game. He wins his first game as a head coach. He showed you some different things, some different motions, some different formations that are going to cause headaches. And he really, at the same time, didn't get to anyone else but Tyreek Hill. Waddle had a couple catches, a couple were spread out here and there, but that was the game plan. The check downs to the backs, utilize Hill, get Waddle a couple really explosive plays, and the defense kind of took over from there. So I like what they did schematically. I like how the offense looked. I like how, if you look at Tua's numbers and don't, go play by play, you go, wow, he must have played a really good game. I think he was 23 to 33, 270.
Yeah, no, it looks clean.
Touchdown. It looked very clean. And you have stuff now that you can coach. This is what coaches live for. They wait for a win, pretty convincingly. Maybe, it wasn't as bad as it could have been if you played better in the second half. But there's so much on film and there's so much on tape that now you can go back and say, we're not going to beat Baltimore if we play that way. Okay? We're not going to go on the road and beat a really good team if we don't play for 60 minutes offensively. We played a good 30, 35, 40 minutes, but there were some breaks in there where we need to be better if we're going to, improve from week 1 to week 2. So there's a lot of good coach tape, I would think, this week for McDaniel and his staff to be able to improve. But there was a lot of great surprises. I mean, that defense was spectacular. Kohu, the guy that no one knew 2 weeks ago, comes up with 3 big plays, a forced fumble. Jalen Phillips picks up the football, falls on it. You get a defensive score. You get multiple turnovers. You win the turnover margin. There's a lot to beat your chest about on the other side of football.
Well, the one thing you brought up that it's funny, we were all excited, people like me, because they went and spent on Armstead, went and spent on Williams. So we just assumed the offensive line was addressed. And I have a buddy of mine who said, look, they still have question marks on the offensive line. And you saw that yesterday. I mean, this New England Patriots defense is not loaded with talent. And they got after Tua and that run game all day long. And then you saw Austin Jackson and Little both get banged up. Can an offensive line grow as the season goes on? I'm legitimately asking you because whenever I see an offensive line play bad, I just assume they're going to be bad. Do you see this offensive line growing and improving as the season goes on?
It has the chance to, Lubie. I don't know, if it does it from week 1 to week 2 or it happens in week 5. All of a sudden you get the right matchup, the right team, you get on a roll, and the scheme of your offense starts to be kind of, second nature to you. I think, everybody rolling out there for the first game in week 1, both teams are excited. Both teams are healthy. You feel like you're going to be at your best, but that's not necessarily the case for offensive line. I take a look at yesterday. Armstead, he didn't do anything in the preseason. He practiced very little, and he went out there and played, I guess, pretty well, but he ended up under the tent in the second half. Now, this is a guy, on the sidelines because of it looked like an apparent knee injury. Now, it seemed like he was fine after that. This is a guy over the last 5 years that's averaged just over 9 games a season. Yep. If you're playing a 9-game season, that's fine. But in the NFL, you're going 17 now. Exactly. So it's kind of tough, to project, okay, who's next? Austin Jackson goes down with an ankle injury, got rolled up on a running play. So now you got to kick Eichenberg out to left because I believe it was Greg Little came in and Robert Jones came in. Both those guys seemed like they were limping around. One play I saw Eichenberg go past Tua in pass blocking. That was not a good sign. So, there's a lot of things that you have to, take a look on film, get better at, and keep plugging away. Because the offensive line, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be good enough to get the ball out. It needs to be good enough to get a crease to let the backs have, with all this speed, that we talk about all the time, and they have it, 2 of the fastest guys in the National Football League, and you add Edmonds to that, who's really good, has short space speed. There's a chance for this team that doesn't have to be perfect up front. It just has to be serviceable, and I think that line needs to get a little bit better to get there.
I think we only need to find 5 wins other than the division. Jets stink. That was established in week number 1.
Patriots aren't very good.
And it doesn't really look like the Patriots have much.
The
Buffalo
Bills are
looked
really
outstanding.
good.
So I see 4-2 in the division there. So we have to find 5 more wins to get our over. All right, you're always going to win when you go to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We'll expand the horizons of this conversation because there were so many sensational things in the NFL. I know, John, you were probably zeroed in on that Dolphin game being at the stadium there. And between, 2 illustrious guys, like the local sportscaster Mike Cugno and, of course, Jeff Darlington, who started out humbly here, I believe, at the Miami Herald, and then blossomed, into the second coming of Jake Glazer. So, this guy's really something. Wow. Did you get any reports yesterday while those cars were being torched in the parking lot? People were going through all kinds of mishugana anxiety, whether or not they were going to be okay or have their vehicle. There were others probably just absolutely detached from that universe, chilling out at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Appreciate you all once again tuning in to the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It wasn't the best day for Tua. Look, I've been a Tua defender. The offensive line struggled pretty much the entire day. The running game sucked, so it wasn't much different except for you had Tyreek Hill, who bailed Tua out time and time again. Jalen Waddle did get a big touchdown, which is something you didn't see from Jalen Waddle last season. It wasn't the prettiest of victories, but the Dolphins did beat arch rival New England Patriots by double digits. They had a double-digit lead for most of that game. It never got fully threatened. I was a little anxious because their offense couldn't put touchdowns on the board. But they did keep the Patriots off the scoreboard for the most part, and they did get a comfortable victory in Mike McDaniel's first day at the helm, or first regular season game at the helm. We'll see. They traveled to Baltimore to take on what is supposed to be a playoff team in the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson had a nice day on Sunday. The Miami Dolphins 1-0 in the Mike McDaniel era. Thanks to John Congemi. Thank you for checking us out. Check us out each and every morning, 7 to 9 on South Florida Live. Just Google YouTube, South Florida Live. Google YouTube, The Defo Show with Lubie. Check us out, National Content Podcast, After Hours with Defo and Lubie on the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And our South Florida content, almost daily, right here. The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.